National Preparedness Month. Combat. And I guess we'll just preface this entire conversation with you have zero permission from me to get all hot and bothered about equipment. Ooh, what kind of thing is that? What is that? A blah blah? Who cares? Who cares? You don't. What I'm showing you here is based upon my context. Doesn't necessarily need to be your context, and I'm not recommending any particular brand or setup or whatever. I don't care, and neither should you, because if you have a cool guy rifle and you can't shoot it, it don't matter. So maybe we should start with that. What is your standard for accuracy for you and your team, your tribe, your mutual assistance group, your neighbors, your neighborhood watch, your buddies you do goon guy and hood rat shit with? What's your standard of accuracy? Because newsflash, you don't get to kill each other because you can't shoot. Which gets into PID. White lights. I think every weapon, here's the business end right here, currently set up for white light. Every weapon should have a white light on it. This is a surefire, and it can be changed from off position, which is really important so that you're not having a negligent discharge of white light if you're patrolling, operationally operating like an operator, etc. And then IR illumination as well. You just turn the bezel. And this particular gun, as shown, is set up for night fighting, but also daytime fighting. So this is one of the weapons that I do hood rat shit with and do OPFOR with as well. But you need a white light for PID, positively identifying a target. That's one of the three things, in my opinion, that every rifle should have. The next thing every rifle should have, and it blows my mind when I see people that don't have this, is a sling. What kind of sling? Don't care. Although I don't like single point slings, because if you have to run, your gun's going to be beating you in the balls with every step that you take. My personal experience. 2-point or 3-point, whatever, bro. Whatever you're into, I don't care. But you need a sling, a white light and a sling, a way to carry the rifle. And not just a way to carry the rifle, but if you need to stow the rifle, sling the rifle so you can go hands-on with somebody or perform a task. You can sling the rifle across your back and use your hands. Or if you have to, I don't know, ride a dirt bike or whatever, right? You need a way to transport the rifle, a way to keep the rifle attached to your body, but spin it out of the way so you can use your hands. And a lot of people don't run slings. It boggles my mind. See a lot of cool guy setups on the interwebs. There's no sling on that rifle. So to me, it doesn't matter how cool it is if you can't carry the damn thing. So white light, sling, and then a way to aim it. This is the Sig Sauer 4XT Pro. And the reason that's on there again is this is a night fighting gun. It has the horseshoe of death in it. I think it's a 2 MOA dot in the center and a 65 MOA ring around the outside with subtensions at the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock positions, much like an EOTech reticle. And this has dedicated night vision settings in it, which is very good for using nods. The fact of the matter is, 9 out of 10 times when I'm grabbing a rifle, it's the same rifle. It's not this rifle. It's got a 1 to 8 LPVO on it. Because you're probably going to use your optic way more for observation. What's up, Brother Saw? Survival applications and weapons systems. Way more for OB than you are for shooting. And again, getting back to PID, we need to know what we're shooting at, and magnification matters. So again, not telling you what you should do or making any recommendations of kit. But for this rifle. I've also got a SIG 3X magnifier back here to go with that sight for daytime shooting where I require more precision. A dot sight is not as good 9 out of 10 times as an LPVO is, low power variable optic, or a VPO, variable powered optic, you know, a 2.5 to 10 or a 4 to 14 or whatever, right? 3 to 18. But for me, with this particular setup, I have this optic on here because of how well it interfaces with nods. The king of night fighting, as far as optics go, is the EOTech in my mind, but I'm one of those few people that can't get a good sight picture in an EOTech during the day. I guess I have a slight stigmatism or something, but it's blurry AF for me, so I don't run an EOTech. I gave my EOTechs away to other brothers that don't have that problem. But a rifle needs 3 things: a way to aim it, a white light for positive identification of the target, and a way to carry it, a sling. Something else that should be considered, because guys will geek out on, you know, how many rounds do they need to carry and what kind of kit should I get, and, you know, what's the effective range of that cartridge? What's the effective range of you? Because the vast majority of shooters don't shoot as well as the gun is capable of. And it doesn't matter if this particular loading in 5.56 has an effective range of 500 meters, because you don't. Again, bringing it all the way back around to what we started with, what's your standard? What's your standard for accuracy? Because if your standard for accuracy is the side of a barn, don't matter. But if your standard for accuracy is the size of your fist at 100 yards from all positions, that just changed a whole hell of a lot, didn't it? Because the kit doesn't matter. It's all diminishing returns on kit if you don't possess the skills. The kit is just LARPing bullshit if you don't possess the skills. That's all it is. Another thing to think about with combat, if we go something like this, 135 grain plus P Hornady critical duty, 9mm. Also, note the weapons light, and note that both of these lights have batteries that are charged in them. What's your ammunition? That's 55 grain VMAX. Why? I have a lot less concern over secondary penetration with this round, and it does phenomenal on soft targets. It'll go through 1 layer of bone, but not 2. For example, a skull. Ask me how I know. So, it's not just, you know, everybody geeks out on combat. You gotta have this many rounds, you gotta have this type of rifle, you gotta have 2 guys, you know, if you're gonna put your squad together, you gotta have 2 guys with, you know, approximating crew served weapons, and then we're gonna need 6 riflemen, and shut up. It doesn't work that way. You don't even have that many people. And if you do, how often do you train together? What are your standards? Or is training showing up in your kit and shooting steel from static positions? My goal is you never find yourself in combat post-SHTF, because if your SHTF plan is to get into and win as many gunfights as possible, that shit's ludicrous. Because even if you're the best, bro, there's still a rate of attrition. And you don't have recruiters out there recruiting and training personnel to replace the people that you lost because you took stupid chances when the world ended because you were hyper-focused on combat. I don't want good people to die. And part of that is bursting bubbles. Don't get into gunfights. Don't plan to get into gunfights. Now, conversely, if you do, you need to know what to do about it, which goes back around to what's your standard for training. Doesn't matter how many rounds you're carrying. The answer is when you put your kit on, I have too much weight. And then you get into a long, protracted gunfight, and it's never enough. It's never enough. You know, I've been in situations doing Op 4 for a particular unit that shall not be named, where I've had 12 mags, and I shot a mag and a half. And then I've had 3 mags, and I was out in 10 minutes. Screaming to my buddies to toss me mags. But other situations where I had, 7 or 8? 7 plus 1 in the gun. And what should have been a 10-minute ambush turned into a 90-minute scenario of just, they flank us, we flank them. They flank us, we flank them. It was tremendous. It was an awesome training opportunity for everybody involved. And I had 4 rounds left in 1 magazine after that. So 240 rounds, I shot 236 rounds. Let me ask you something. If those weren't blanks and they were real bullets, what's the likelihood that everybody who went into those woods got to walk back out again? The answer to that statistically is less than 100% likelihood. And when you got somebody ripping off 100-round belts of belt fed in your general direction, praise yaw, it's just blanks. Because that's not something you just walk away from. And there's this prepper fantasy over the combat aspect of the 12 C's of survival, or whatever moniker you want to use. Because there is a place for firearms. Firearms solve immediate life and death problems now, but everybody misses the long-term sustainability of that. We should not have a life full of immediate life and death problems. That's the whole point of preparing in the first place. So that we can create some standoff, some separation in between us and life and death problems. And so hyperfixation on the kit that goes with this particular C of survival is going to get a lot of people jammed up if when the balloon goes up, because the vast majority of people don't possess the skills. And make no mistake, I'm no expert, but I've been blessed to train with a shit ton of people who are for a couple of decades now. And one of the key takeaways from working with and training with people like that is everybody's got a day. Don't tempt fate. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord your God. Have you even thought about ROEs? You go walking down the street looking like this post-event. You got your hand on your gun? What is the enemy's ROEs? It's probably going to be shoot you in the face because you look like a combatant. Right? If you came walking down the street post-event all kitted up with your hand on your rifle and I saw you, am I going to think friend or foe? Goes back to what we were talking about in cover. It's not just Marpat pants and Bellevilles. There's an element of stealth. There's an element of camo to that as well. What message are you trying to send by the kit that you're carrying? And see, there's a big part of that too, because there's so much virtue signaling with kit on the internet. What gun is that? What grip is that? What light is that? What illuminator is that? What optic is that? What kind of ammo are you running? Oh, is that a flat face trigger? That's so cool. Oh, that's you got that shit rig? That's awesome. Who cares? Don't give a shit. Don't give a shit. Some of the guys that we're training with are running piece of shit AKs and running, Chinese AK chest rigs with old beat up steel magazines, and they're smoking people. Because it's not the kit, y'all. It's the skills. So don't start a fight you can't win simply because you wanted to virtue signal on the internet about how friggin' cool your kit is. build skills, train with your people, establish benchmarks, establish standards, train to standard, and pray to God you never have to get into a gunfight for real post-event. Bless y'all. Shalom.